Continuing with How the Great Religions Began by Joseph Gaer. Book 2. Religions of China and Japan. Part 2. Taoism, the religion few can understand. Part 5. The man who killed a devil. Well, he could only kill physically incarnate beings, not the spiritual beings, but anyways. There are many ways in which to keep the evil spirits away, and to protect oneself from them, the Taoists believe. When a Taoist walks through the forest, he either sings or he whistles, because he believes that his music keeps the wood devils from coming near him. The wood devils dislike music, just as mosquitoes dislike smoke. The secret is the wood devils like that. They like you playing musical instruments, so they like you making nonsense noise. In some Chinese houses, even after one enters, one has to turn around in a sort of crooked foyer before entering the first room. This arrangement is made especially for the evil spirits, so that an evil spirit should rush into the house, he would dash against the wall and be killed. That's a good one. Some Chinese houses have paintings of forest and jungles where our entrance door would be. That makes the fronts of their houses very beautiful, but that is not why those paintings are there. Those paintings are there for the evil spirits who might try to get into the house, but as they come rushing up and try to get into what they think is the entrance, they dash into the painted woods and jungles and are never heard of again. They're not confined by these physical bodies, so they can't be hurt by traps we set up. The worst evil spirits, they believe, are found in the mountains. All of the mountains have their evil spirits. The bigger the mountains, of course, the stronger their spirits. Thousands of stories about these mountain devils are told in China. Sometimes people get the better of these evil spirits of the mountains, and here is a story to prove it. People quote the Bible and say, see, that proves that must be the case. Is there anything outside the Bible? Do those verses even exist in older Bibles? Beneath the mountain of Lilu, there was once an inn. Travelers passing by there would stop at rest, but if any traveler stayed there overnight, the evil spirit of Lilu would come down with 50 devils, dressed up as men and women, and would kill him. One day, He, the magician, came to that inn and decided to stay there overnight. He knew about the place, but He was a great magician and was not afraid. He arrived early in the afternoon and made himself comfortable. And when it became dark, he lit a candle and began to read such writings as were good for keeping evil spirits away. There sat He by the candlelight, all alone. 1 hour passed. Another hour passed. The tallow of the candle began to drip, and the candle began to grow shorter and shorter. Exactly at midnight, the door opened, and 10 tall men, dressed in black, came in and sat down near He, and without saying a word, they began to gamble. The magician pretended he did not see them, but as he sat there reading his book, he took out a little magic mirror and looked into it. What he saw in the mirror made his teeth chatter. For in the little magic mirror, he saw 10 dogs sitting close together and gambling. He looked quickly, and there were 10 men gambling. You know, those gambling dog pictures could have been inspired by such stories. He looked into the mirror again, and there he saw the dogs again. He now knew who those gamblers were, but he wanted to make certain, so he picked up his candle and began to walk up and down the room, still pretending to read. But as he walked up and down, he came nearer and nearer the gamblers. When he came very close to them, he suddenly pushed the candle right against one of them. Immediately, Pe-he smelled the burning of hair. The magician quickly drew out a knife and threw it at the gambler. The other gamblers jumped up and ran away. But the gambler Pe-he had singed with the candle. Fell to the ground. When Pe-he bent over to see whether he had killed him, he saw a dead dog lying on the ground. And so it becomes with many faiths, that it delineates into this stereotypical sort of negative way of, or not useful way of thinking of magician. But true teachings, true scriptures, true spiritual remembrance can keep away devils. But there's the... Anyways. Why Taoism found many followers is section 6. About 100 years after the Tao Te Ching was written, one Taoist leader wrote a book in which he said passing through solid metal or stone, walking in the midst of fire, or on the surface of water, all these things are possible to him who is in harmony with the Tao. Such teachings of magic became worse and worse as time went on. Millions of ignorant Chinese began to believe in these things and feared the magicians and the priests who claimed that they had power over the evil spirits. Yet the number of followers of Taoism grew rapidly. The reason so many Chinese became Taoist and believed in its teachings is not very hard to understand. Long, long ago, the Chinese were nature worshippers. In those far-off days, they believed that all things in nature had spirits. Later, they divided the spirits of nature into two groups. The good spirits, who did good things for people, they called Shen. And the evil spirits, they called Kuai. The Chinese had not forgotten their old religion, and parts of it are still to be found among them to this day. To this day, they believe in the good work of the Shen, the good spirits, and the evil work of the Kuai, the bad spirits. Was it Jin, Qi, Shen, the candle analogy? The self-analogy? Jin, Qi, Shen? I don't know. But even the Shen, the good spirits, sometimes stop being good. Because Jinn have choice like humans. The good spirit of rain, for instance, sometimes does not give rain when they need it. That, the Chinese believe, is because the good spirit of rain has fallen asleep. In order to wake him up, they make a huge dragon out of paper and wood, painted in many bright colors. This dragon represents the good spirit of rain. They carry the dragon through the streets and sing aloud to wake him up. But if he does not wake up, they threaten to beat him. And obviously this can go on a long time. Sometimes, if it does not rain, they actually beat and tear up this dragon. Sometimes they try to bribe the dragon by promising to give him a great title. And if it rains within a given time, they keep their promise. When Taoism began to teach about so many evil spirits and about magic, the people who still remembered their old beliefs and many spirits were ready to listen to the magicians and the stories of wonder told about the Pearly Emperor. And, magic and changing consciousness, connecting spiritually and stuff like this. Maybe that's an acceptable way to think about that. Buddhism in China. For about 500 years, after the death of Confucius, Taoism and Confucianism were the two religions of China. When Emperor Zhen ordered the books of Confucius and his followers to be burned, he allowed the Taoist writings to be saved. Emperor Zhen himself found hoped to find the magic pill that would make him live forever and rule China forever. That was one of the reasons he encouraged the Taoist teachings in his day. But after his death, the followers of Confucius became the strongest power in China. Meanwhile, Chinese merchants traveling to Nepal and India came back with marvelous stories of a prince named Gautama. As the years passed, the more marvelous became the tales that these Chinese merchants told of the Prince Gautama and his teachings. The stories they told traveled all over China, and the people repeated them to each other in great admiration of the faraway prince. The Chinese, as we've seen, are and always have been ancestor worshippers. Well, not all of them, obviously. To them, the dead are almost as real as the living. Naturally, they wanted to know what happened to their forefathers after death. Neither Taoism nor Confucianism answered those questions about life and after death for them. When the Chinese heard of a religion that explained about life after death and about nirvana, they wanted to know all about it. And so the teachings of the Buddha very much changed by his followers, slowly became known all over China. About 500 years after the death of Confucius, Emperor Ming became a Buddhist, and he ordered the Tripitaka, the sacred scriptures of Buddhism, to be translated into Chinese and taught to the people. The followers of Confucius, who were many in the land, fought the Hindu religion very bitterly, but after years of fighting, Buddhism won. It spread all over the country and became rooted there like an oak tree, and the Chinese people wanted a religion that would explain to them the things neither Taoism nor Confucianism explained, and Buddhism was such a religion. By accepting Buddhism, the people of China did not give up the other two religions. They only added another, the Buddha, whom the Chinese call Amitabha, was added to the company of their beloved Confucius and Lao Tse. The Chinese today are talked of as a people who follow the three teachings. These are the teachings of Confucius, Lao Tse, and the Buddha, and sometimes one Chinese follows all three of them. Buddhism has the greatest number of followers, but the Buddhist influence upon the people of China is not as great as the influence of Confucianism. So, Confucianism, the morality, Buddhism, sort of the philosophy, and Taoism, the practicality, I guess. But that's what's going on today with what is called the New Age movement, is that people are seeing in the fragments of the previous teachings either distortions that they don't agree with or incompleteness. And so they're combining faiths into one faith, whether they're accepting some sort of New Age